Hi, welcome to Take 5, where we daily consider devotional thoughts from Oswald Chambers' book, My Utmost for His Highest. Today is March 14th, and the title of today's devotional is Yielding. You are that one slave whom you obey. Romans 6 and verse 16. I appreciate more and more the hymns that were sung when I was a little kid, and even in that day, the hymns were likely couple of hundred years old or more. There wasn't the cranking out of worship songs as is the case today. One hymn, written in 1868, said, "Yield not to temptation, for yielding is sin." The question can be asked, how many sins does it take to make a person a sinner? The answer is one, just one. Chambers deals today with the yielding, the giving in to sin. He begins with, the first thing I must be willing to admit when I begin to examine what controls and dominates me is that I am the one responsible for having yielded myself to whatever it may be. Following the first sin, Adam blamed Eve and Eve blamed the snake, yet each of them had the liberty to have said no. They each were responsible for yielding themselves to the enticement of Satan. You give in to sin because it is something that you want. As with Eve, when the woman saw that the tree was good for food and that it was a delight to the eyes and that the tree was desirable to make one wise, she took from the fruit and ate, and she gave also to her husband with her, and he ate. Genesis 3 and verse 6. Three elements made it appealing to her, but one was that it was desirable to make one wise, to be like God, and therefore not need to depend on Him, for you know what He knows. She bit into the lie. Chambers continues, if a child gives in to selfishness, he will find it to be the most enslaving tyranny on earth. There is no power within the human soul itself that is capable of breaking the bondage of the nature created by yielding. Chambers presents here an absolute staggering universal truth. The clutch of human sin cannot be broken by human means because the natural man has no desire to relinquish sin, for there is no consideration of being accountable to God. There are different forces that can be broken in our universe. The flow of electricity into a lamp creates light, but to turn off the switch cuts the circuit and the lamp goes off. Blood circulates through the human body due to the pumping of the heart, but remove the heart and there's no longer a muscle to push the blood through the veins and arteries. As for sin, the natural being has no desire initially to cease from being a sinner. It requires the intercession of God to show the person that they are a sinner. Even after that, however, there remains in the individual a pull towards sin. Allowing for Dr. Chambers to teach much of the rest, he says, or he uses lust as an example. And lust meaning I must have it now, whether it is the lust of the flesh or the lust of the mind. We hear Chambers say, for example, yield for 1 second to anything in the nature of lust, and although you may hate yourself for having yielded, you become enslaved to that thing. No release or escape from it will ever come from any human power, but only through the power of redemption. You must yield yourself in utter humiliation to the only one who can break the dominating power in your life, namely the Lord Jesus Christ. Closing out, we read, when you yield to something, you will soon realize the tremendous control it has over you. Even though you say, oh, I can give that habit up whenever I like, you will know that you can't. You will find that the habit absolutely dominates you because you willingly yielded to it. But yielding to Jesus will break every kind of slavery in any person's life. If you haven't yet read today's devotional from Dr. Chambers' book, I encourage you to do so, for it will enhance the time that we spend together. It's free online. Please submit any questions or comments that you have in today's study. You can list them below. And also, please share any prayer requests as well. And now may God's grace and peace be ours as we seek to live our utmost for His highest. Thanks for being here today. God bless you. You have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye now.